ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਜੀ ਆਇਆਂ ਨੂੰ। ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੈ ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ ਦੋ ਮਹਾਨ ਸ਼ਖਸੀਅਤਾਂ from All India Management Association, New Delhi. Mr. Nikhil Sawhney, President, All India Management Association, Vice Chairperson and Managing Director, Triveni Turbines Limited, and Mr. Sanjay Grover, Director, LMA Relations and Managing Young Leader Council and Memberships. To bring them on the stage, मैं हूँ निवेदन करांगा मिस्टर अश्विन पलसिकर, ऑनरी सैकटरी इंदौर मैनेजमेंट एसोसिएशन, उन्होंने स्टेज ते लैके आउण ते अगला सैशन साझा करन। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू जगवंत। आपकी बातें ऑफिस में और यहाँ दोनों जगह समझ में नहीं आती है। So I'm here to do the valedictory session, and we are very proud that we have two distinguished guests as we close this evening before Atul Khatri's session, which will happen immediately after this. They say that behind every successful man there is a woman. So likewise, behind every successful hero there is a villain. So we have the first villain, but of course today he is not here in that capacity. So we have Mr. Prakash Belavadi. May I request Mr. Sawan Ladda to escort him till the stage? Now, behind the success of this event is IMA. And behind the success of... Thank you, sir. Behind the success of this event is IMA. And behind the success of IMA is AIMA. So may I welcome the president of AIMA, Mr. Nikhil Sawhney. Sapan bhai, can we have the session AV?
Session 5.
Thank you. May I request Mr. Girish Mangla to welcome Mr. Belavadi with flowers, and Mr. Vishnu Jaju to welcome our IMA President, Mr. Nikhil Sawhney, with a bouquet. I also request Mr. Jagwant Singh Mangat to recognize the presence of Mr. Sanjay Grover, Director LMA, with a bouquet of flowers. He's sitting there. Thank you Girish bhai, thank you Vishnu. Thank you Prakash ji, thank you Nikhil. Can we have a short film video of Mr. Prakash Belavadi?
तुम अभी आर्मी में नहीं, रॉ में है, इसलिए बुद्धि का ज्यादा इस्तेमाल करो और ताकत का कम।
इन्हें हम सबसे लगेज पैक करवाया, बस में बिठाया, फिर उतारा। मजाक है क्या? अभी किधर है बागदाद? आपका बेटा बेल पे है, फिर भी अंडरवर्ल्ड के साथ बातें करता है। पुलिस के पास 60 घंटे की फोन रिकॉर्डिंग है, काम में फोकस नहीं है। पिछली 12 फिल्में फ्लॉप है, उसका जेल जाना तय है। स्वाति, I'm going to give you a big surprise.
सच में करना चाहते हो? पैसों के लिए?
तुम्हें लगता है ये सब पैसों के लिए है?
ये पागलपन है। ये तुम्हारे अपने लोग हैं, तुम्हारा देश है।
So India is a land of coincidences. I mean, since morning we are hearing India is a land of so many things, but it is also a land of coincidences. So the last and the most iconic role that Mr. Belavadi played was of Dr. Sawhney, and our other speaker is Mr. Sawhney. Sir, I took his permission before saying this. Huh? Otherwise, I'm happy to also say that All India Management Association, which is our guiding force, has 67 chapters running everywhere across India. And very few chapters get the opportunity to be elected in the council. So Indore is one of the council members of IMA, and we frequently participate in their meetings. It's a lot of knowledge, it's a lot of learning, and you connect with the best people in the industry, one being Mr. Nikhil Sawhney himself, who is the director of Triveni Turbines, a 10,000 crore conglomerate. So we're very happy to have you, sir. May I now play the video of Mr. Nikhil Sawhney.
Mr. Nikhil Sawhney. Nikhil Sawhney is the Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Triveni Turbines and a Director of Triveni Engineering. The group is a leader position in sugar manufacturing, distillation of alcohol, renewable energy generation, industrial turbines and gears, and water and wastewater treatment solutions, spanning 22 manufacturing locations in India. Triveni Turbines is one of the largest global manufacturers of industrial steam turbines as well as the global leader for renewable energy-based applications. Nikhil has been voted one of India's 40 hottest business leaders under 40 by the Economic Times in 2015. Nikhil is the president of the All India Management Association. Nikhil has a BA and MA from Emmanuel College, University of Cambridge, and an MBA from the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania. He has helped found the CII Triveni Water Institute and is an active trustee of the Tirath Ram Shah Charitable Hospital and the Emmanuel College India Trust and the Ananta S. Spain Center. Nikhil is the co-chair of the Ananta S. Spain-led India-Israel Forum. Nikhil is also a member of the Trilateral Commission and the member of various Government of India-led bilateral CEO forums. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Nikhil Sawhney.
So Nikhil, before we invite you, they said hottest for under 40. So what is the definition of hottest? That I would like you to tell everyone. Thank you, sir.
Firstly, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're nearing evening, so I will try to be brief. But thank you for that introduction, Ashwin. A very good afternoon to all you ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, Mr. Belawadi. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Hottest, I don't know what hottest means. That's you'll have to take that up with the Economic Times. But I was very privileged to receive that award, and I'm extremely pleased to be with you here today. We've had a very interesting day, and I want to congratulate IMA as well as Mr. Rathi and all the other Executive Council members of IMA for putting together such a wonderful conclave. It really is very inspiring, and I've taken a lot away from the sessions that I've heard. And so I'm sure that you've also benefited from the wisdom that a lot of the other speakers have put forward to you. They incorporate and encapsulate a variety of different facets of management, but underlying it all is an extreme optimism about India, about where we're placed today, and the future that we all hold. Like Ashwin had said, I represent IMA today, and IMA is the All India Management Association, which represents over 67 different LMAs. But we do have a stakeholder base which is wider than that. We do represent students, business schools, and its affiliated institutions as well, but also professionals and corporates. IMA touches millions of people every year through a variety of different programs, which include both online as well as physical activities. And it's a pleasure to be here, especially in Indore, with the Indore Management Association, which has won the Best LMA Award for 16 times. 16 times, so many congratulations. It's a real pleasure, and this is a true testimony to the ecosystem and all of you here who I can see work together as a team very well. And not only that, you share a camaraderie and a degree of cooperation which allows you to succeed. So many congratulations to each of you, and thank you for having me here. As we look today at this conclave and the session that I was asked to speak on, which is on leading sustainable growth and the strategies for Bharat's industrial evolution. It coincides with the theme that we had chosen, or I had chosen for IMA for this current year as well, which is the Indian century managing growth through transitions. And they all converge on similar themes. We all have heard today about the Indian century, about how we're very well poised to take that forward in multiple different facets. Not only do we have the demographic which is working in our favor, we currently have approximately 1.4 billion people in the country, of which 500 million people are under the age of 18. As we add 20 million people to the working age population every year, it's estimated that approximately 12 million people will join the labor force. This is due to a forecast of poorer female participation. It's imperative that we recognize that that is something that we have to overcome. Each and every one of us has to ensure that we have a higher degree of female participation in the labor force so that we can achieve an even greater outcome in our national aspirations. But as I said, India, the century does belong to India. We've seen already in this past week, as Sunil Singhania also pointed out, that we had an unexpectedly higher growth rate in the third quarter GDP number of about 8.4%, which was expected to be about 6.5%. So this true outperformance is a reflection that even our economists cannot forecast the growth that the country is experiencing at this point in time. And it's important for all of us to believe that we should all participate in this growth, because not only are we currently a $3.8 to $3.9 trillion economy, but our aspiration is in the next 6 to 7 years that we should be double that. And for us to achieve that, that means that we have to create a capital stock, which is going to allow us to achieve that GDP, both from a production perspective as well as consumption. The demographics will play in our favor to allow consumption to take place. As households get richer, they will consume more. But we do need to also produce for that consumption, both in terms of products as well as services. And when we look at the products and services that have to actually be developed and delivered, we have to look at what Bharat means and the various different constituents of India. On a purchasing power parity basis, India has one UK, one Indonesia, and one sub-Saharan Africa. And let me explain what I mean by that. You have one UK with a purchasing power parity of 70 or 65 to 70 million people who have a PPP per capita income of approximately $40,000 or $45,000 per annum. You have another 250 million people who have a purchasing power parity per capita income of approximately $10,000. And then you have over 1 billion people who have a significantly lower per capita income. This presents an opportunity, but also a challenge. A challenge for the country as it grows to grow more equitably, but also to help forge greater unity within the country. As was pointed out earlier, the number of people who are going to be entering the workforce, which would be in excess of, say, 12 million people a year, need to find jobs. A lot of students back there would be wondering, what are the opportunities that they can take away from a conclave like this? And as speakers in the past have just spoken about, entrepreneurship lies at the center of a lot of the aspirations out there. Corporate jobs will help facilitate to a level. It will allow you to get greater exposure into what corporate systems are, how you can achieve best practices, and learn more about the running of corporations as well as the compliances that are necessary for you to thrive. But more so is to meet the unmet desires and aspirations of the Indian consumer. And that will only be possible with new business models, with newer and more innovative ways of reaching those consumers. And that is by your being an entrepreneur. If you don't take the risk, you will not reap the rewards. But like I'd said, coming back to this topic of today, which is sustaining growth, as we build out our capital stock, it is important that we measure how we will be able to do that. How will we be able to actually sustain this growth? Sustaining growth is not a matter of 5 years or 10 years. We do it over generations. We have to build a more sustainable enterprise. And when we look at the most easy pickings of sustainability, it comes to ecology. How can we make our businesses more ecologically sustainable, more conscious of the environment, and more able to face the future? I think Mr. Mundra pointed this out as well earlier, where he talked about technology. There are two principal facets which I believe which will allow India to succeed, which is firstly education, and the other is a focus and development of technology. Education so that we understand the perspectives within which we operate, but more so is the technology that has to be developed and then imparted onto society so that we can benefit from it. Equally so is to manage risk. But when we do look at the theme for today, which is unlocking global potential, there are two very secular themes which are driving technological change and which are the focus of all business models to come. One is artificial intelligence and digitization, which has been spoken of. And the second is the energy transition and decarbonization. Both of these opportunities are $100 trillion global opportunities over the next 20 years. Every business will have to cater to them one way or the other, either by incorporating them in their business practice and business models, or actually creating an opportunity and a business case around each of these. It's important when we look at decarbonization that we understand energy from its most fundamental roots. People try to associate energy and power as the same factor. But ladies and gentlemen, if you look at primary end energy consumption, approximately 50% of end energy consumption is consumed in the form of heating and cooling. If we look at the constituents of those, which could be split between industry, institutions as residentials, consuming heat and power is, consuming heating and cooling solutions is largely done through electricity, much like we're facing today in this nicely air-conditioned hall. But is that the most efficient way for heat to be produced? I like to use the analogy of telecom. India moved from having its citizens have no telecom infrastructure and no access to telecommunication infrastructure to mobile phones. We have over 650 smartphone users, 650 million smartphone users in the country. We need to have a technological shift and a jump that is required equally in the energy transition. To use this as an example, we as a company have also tried to play our own role in terms of how we could bridge this technology gap while also looking at the opportunity of what is a $100 trillion opportunity for us. And it comes down to seeing where the problems lie. India will not be able to reach its decarbonization net zero commitments by 2070 unless we look at carbon capture and utilization. Carbon capture itself is a vastly complex space, but as India adds gigawatts and hundreds of gigawatts every year and every 5 years, it's important that we keep in mind what is the entire paradigm in which we have to exist. We have to put energy transition and decarbonization at the center of every business model. A lot of industry participants here use heat in some manner or the other as part of their process. That has to be done at a far more efficient manner. But also there are disruptions in the way that heat can and should be delivered to industries and institutions. If I look at carbon dioxide as principally as what is an angst in society, it is dreaded in terms of the emission norms and what it leads to global warming. But if I look at it from a scientific perspective, carbon dioxide is a wonderful fluid. It has fundamentally much better properties than other fluids of similar uses. In fact, a lot of people here may not remember, but the Montreal Protocol in the 80s was used to eliminate or to sideline chlorofluorocarbons which were impacting the ozone layer. Now that may have gone, but the newer amendments of the Kigali Protocol have put stipulations which India has accepted, which will come into force by 2026 to move what moved at the Montreal Protocol from CFCs to HCFCs to now natural refrigerants. As many of you may not know, a HCFC could have a global warming potential anywhere from 100 times to 100,000 times higher than carbon dioxide. So if we are to look at decarbonization in its entirety, we do have to look at each of the constituents and how we can help bridge it. So besides the heating and cooling, the applications of using carbon dioxide in a variety of different spheres is immensely practical and possible. And we as a company have also led the way in terms of being able to establish an unsubsidized use case for carbon dioxide. I know this may not seem appealing to many of you out here after hearing all the energy that Snehal had put together, as well as I'm sure Mr. Bhiwade will as well. But ladies and gentlemen, the only point of my coming here was to actually help build on this cooperation that IMA and IMA have, to help recognize the work that is done by IMA through its variety office bearers as well as secretary, and the prominent place that IMA plays within the IMA ecosystem. There's a lot that we can learn ourselves. There's a lot that IMA can do in terms of bridging what are current and pertinent topics to its membership base, as well as to students who I see at the back of the hall. But equally, from a student's perspective, there are opportunities that you need to be able to grasp and take forward. This is a country that is a young country. In a world that is aging very rapidly, we have youth on our side. And with youth comes not only aspirations, but also the ability to execute on those. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And I wish you a very good day.
Thank you, Nikhil. Wonderful as usual. I must tell you, I've got multiple chances to interact with him in the IMA Council. He's one of the most sorted, articulate, and humble person to interact with. So a big round of applause to our IMA president, Mr. Nikhil Sawhney. And I'm sure we'll do all IMA can as an LMA to make sure IMA and IMA work very closely together, keeping in mind all the goals that you have become our goals as well. I'm supposed to summarize this session. It's very difficult to summarize a 2-day power-packed session. But this is the first conclave where I think we've used the word Bharat many more times than we've used the word India. So I think that is an achievement that we've used the word Bharat. So my only takeaway from this is that, ladies and gentlemen, we all have arrived and we are here to stay. So that's our only takeaway from this session. This conclave cannot be done without the support of the Secretariat. So can I call people from our Secretariat onto the stage? So I'm calling you guys, please assemble here on the stage. So Jagwant Singh Mangat, Seema Arora, Reber, Raza, Ayushi Gaur, Yash Jaiswal, Prakash Mehra, and Mr. Devilal Purohit. If you can quickly assemble on the stage. And let us all hear for this team, because it is this team which has worked tirelessly. Seema is just coming onto the stage. So, everybody wanted to click a snap with the Maharaja of Udaipur, the Prince of Udaipur. The Prince of Udaipur said, I want to click a snap with her. Because even at 10 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 12 at night, whenever the team would call, she would pick up her call. And, it was her son Hriday's birthday 3 days back, and she gave him exactly 5 minutes, which was in the parking lot of Nakshatra. I think each member from this team has contributed. I don't know where Jagwant is. So, we must clap for this team. Nikhil, they wanted to have a snap with you because you are the celebrity for them. You are the All India Management Association president. Mr. Grover, if you can quickly come onto the stage for a snap, we would love for you to join us for a snap. One of the speakers told us that we are very happy. We can do away with the music so I can complete a few things. They have a flight to catch, so no music needed. One of the speakers told me that they are very happy to come to IMA because there is no politics. So I must thank Mr. Naveen Khandelwal. He's here. Normally, he never gets noticed. So he's created a culture of competition of not taking credit. So people compete with each other in the EC that who is taking less credit. And he's created that culture. He's standing right there.